Welcome back to Ferocious Education. This is Zep. Today I'm going to be talking about NIO and corporations. This is an update to my previous DD on this stock. Make sure to drop a like to this video to help the channel grow, subscribe and leave notifications on. I'm going to go through technical analysis, news, and what I think about the stock. At any point, if you feel you need to catch up on the technical indicators, you find a playlist in the description below that explains each of them and what they mean. Let's jump right into it. So what we get to see here on a 1 week perspective, MACD here looks like it's actually almost stable, hovering a little bit lower down and then back up on the histogram, but it looks like two lines, the signal line and the MACD line, are stable for the time being. If you will look on the unbalanced volume, what we get to see here is that it's morphed sideways and doesn't show much significance. If we go to the ADX, the ADX gives us a warning of perhaps an unstable or a dangerous level of a trend. This usually happens when a trend passes around 50, but the last time it hit 50 was all the way back to around the 5th of July. And it looks like what's actually happening here is that it's signaling in a possibility of an end of a trend, or that the trend has gone long enough that it's dangerous to be in the stock right now. William %R puts the stock at a neutral, and momentum still seems to be strong. The moving averages for this one looks incredibly bullish. 10 SMA is above 30 EMA, there's a lot of gap in between them, and the stock price is above the 50 SMA in the purple line. So what we can expect is if it does dip into the trading action zone, it would probably see a reversal and bounce back. The trading action zone is between the 10 SMA and the 30 EMA. Moving on towards the 1 day perspective, what we get to see here is a little bit of rough news from our side. What we get to see is that the MACD has gone negative, and it looks like it started going negative all the way back in 4th of September onto the start of a bearish kicker, and you get to see that right now it looks like it's not leveled down or stopping or bouncing back on the MACD alone. Volume looks alright for the time being. Unbalanced volume, it looks like it's still stabilizing a little. ADX shows in a possibility of a trend forming, but it's actually falling up from where it was on the 1st of September around the 60 or 50, above the 50 mark. Right now it's sitting at 25. I do expect it to probably hit around 20 before it bounces back. And we're looking at a William %R where it's actually a little bit closer to overbought than neutral. So that's a little bit of a dangerous sign as well. Momentum looks like it's actually a little bit down, so that's an interesting thing to see. 1 day perspective on the moving averages, it looks a bit different than the 1 week perspective. So we get to see, yes, the stock is above the 200 SMA, that's the blue line, really bullish. Above the 50 SMA, bullish. The stock 10 SMA is above 30 EMA, the green line above the red line, that's bullish. But the stock is in the trading action zone, and the trading action zone is very thin. So reversals here are likely, but the trading action zone is very thin. So if it does drop below the 1764, it exits the trading action zone. And if it does dip below the 1580, it goes bearish on the moving average perspective. Now let's take a quick look into a 1 hour perspective, and this is just merely for 1 hour, so it's probably just for the next few hours onto Monday. What we get to see here is a Death Star that was seen on the 24th of September that really signals in a drop coming, or the looming of an end of a trend. That's just on a 1 hour perspective. We get to see 30 EMAs actually just crossed towards the 10 SMA. It looks bearish on the moving averages. ADX shows in the possibility of a trend forming. William %R puts it incredibly overbought. Momentum here looks like it's actually a bit stabilizing, and the MACD looks like it's trading sideways. So on the 1 hour perspective, it looks like it is possibly bearish, and it looks like it's either going to be trading sideways or dip on a 1 hour perspective, and that's just probably for just the first few hours onto Monday. Now moving on towards the moving averages, this stock on the band, it's expected to trade on the bottom at 1683, in the middle 1871, and at the top of 2047. It's done alright since around, let's say, 2-3 weeks now that it's actually trading within the moving average band, so we can expect that it continues to do so, at least for the short term. Now I tried to draw a channel here, and this is a channel that was realized on the 25th of May, and it continued on for quite a bit, but what happened was that it actually jumped a little bit too fast. So the expectation is that if it does go back to the channel, there's two channels in there. So the first one is 1998 on the top, in the middle 1777, and at the bottom 1570. And then the second channel, it's expected to trade at 1783 on the top, 1671 in the middle, and 1576 on the bottom. However, the trend line that was formed all the way back from May, the uptrend line, is not broken yet. and it doesn't look like it might actually be broken anytime soon. If we were to look into stuff like Fibonacci Retracements to try to identify where the supports and resistances are, what we get to see here is that there is a significant support sitting at the $17 mark, and that is quite significant for us. Below there, what we get to see 1387 is another significant support on the Fibonacci retracement. If we were to look into significant supports and resistances based on price, the last price trading action, you get to see that there is a significant support sitting right now at the 1826, below that at the 1818, and then below that 1791, 1741. Then there's one here at 1718, and then 1750, and then 1561, and 1532, going down to 1453. If we were looking at significant resistances, there's a significant one at 1834 here that's been tested a few times over. And then there's another one at 1861, 1879, 1904, 1929, and the 1952 mark, followed by the 1990 mark. Now let's take a look into the latest news. So coming in from institutional buyers, we get to see this one has been a bit busy, but mainly in the index fund categories. So these are index funds that are being added on all the way from the 15th onward. The last transaction happened on the 15th, where they had 65,400 shares added. So that is quite significant. It looks like one of the companies as well closed their put and kept their call. That is quite significant as well. If we were to look into the latest news, we get to see that they actually partially redeemed equity interest in NIO from China from investors. So it's around 88.6 equity interest in NIO was redeemed. We get to look as well, they announced completion of offering of the ADX shares of around $17 American, and we get to see that it provided August 2020 delivery updates. The NIO delivered 3,965 vehicles in August 2020, monthly record representing 104.1% year-over-year interest. NIO also delivered almost 22,000 vehicles in 2020 total, increasing by 110 year-over-year. Cumulative deliveries of ES8 and ES6 reached 54,000 vehicles. So that is amazing news there. And we get to see as well on their Twitter, and I would recommend that if you're investing in this stock, follow them. They also mentioned a bunch of things like, for instance, the EC6, or their 5-seater, is actually beginning in deliveries. They have their autonomous vehicles in effect. Make sure to follow them, and don't forget to follow me as well on Twitter, as my information is on the channel. Looking now into the company itself, the NIO, I have gone through multiple presentations. I've gone through a lot of news, so I'm not going to go through in details of it. I'm just going to go basically mention that you can actually sign up on there on the email IR. You get to see the same SEC filings in there, no recent events happening. So I'm going to go through two things here. This is the China total vehicle sales, since it's a Chinese company. You get to see it's actually been recovering quite well, so that looks like it's actually stable. But the plug-in electrical vehicle sales from 2017, 2018, 2019, 2020, you still see the increase from 2017 to 2020. Still lagging behind a little on 2018 and 2019, all the way until July, where July actually 2020 starts recovering. So there might actually be a really nice improvement there as we go forward. Now, what do I think about this stock? This stock here has been from way back around, I think, this area where I called it as a long-term investment, and I still hold by then. Now, I did compare it a bunch of times towards where Tesla is actually trading, but with the recent Tesla's movements and a little bit off where they're actually been trading, you get to see here on the blue line, it's actually not very much towards where Tesla is, but it still shows in a little bit of resemblance where Tesla is playing, and that is just mainly the EV sector in general moving up and down. What do you think about this ticker? Make sure to mention down in the comments below. Share, subscribe, and like. You have a wonderful day.